So you may ask, you've been on furlough since the end of April. What in the name of Thomas Cranmer have you been up to? Well, I'm going to share that and more on this episode of That Deacon on YouTube. Hello, how are you doing? I pray that your family is well. If you have children, I hope that they are well and happy, and that all of you are getting through these unusual times with a little bit of grace and humor and loving kindness. So as you can see, I'm wearing my official vacation shirt. Normally around this time of year, my husband and I venture off to Cambria, which is a little town on the Central Coast. And we've been going there now for a little stay during my summer vacation. But this year we are staying at home. Mainly because if we go there, we would pretty much be holed up in our rental unit. Many of the things that we enjoy doing will probably, A, not be open, or we'd have to take food out, or many of the stores and shops we like to visit along the way may not be open. So we thought it best this year just to stay at home. Cambria isn't going anywhere, so I'm sure after we have weathered this pandemic storm, we'll be visiting there again. We can take a year off. So what I'd like to do this time is just share a little bit about what I've been up to. As some of you know, I've been producing one version of Compline Online every week. And I've been doing that since the month of May. My goal is to create a Compline for the week for the entire year. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up this pace, but it's okay right now. I'm able to do so. So if you'd like to know and pray Compline, night prayer, before you go to bed, check the link below and I'll give you that link. Your best bet probably is to subscribe to that channel, because when a new video is uploaded, then you'll be informed. But I've thoroughly enjoyed putting them together. It's a very interesting process. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of searching to find the photo metaphors and the video metaphors to go along with night prayer. So I hope you're enjoying it. There were a couple projects that I began prior to the pandemic, and I kind of shelved them for the time being. And during my time away from the office and day-to-day ministry, I have been able to pick them up again, and I'd like to share them with you. The first one is musical. Now, as you know, something I do at my parish every now and then is when there is a musical need, I'll be asked to fulfill it, and I either compose or arrange something for services. Well, not long before we were going to find out that we will be closing our doors, I was told about a discussion my rector had with our music director, Bob Crocker, and they were complaining that as they were trying to put together a special service about healing, that there wasn't very good musical choices for that type of service that were directly related to healing in some way. And they thought of a question that Jesus asked in one of the Gospels. I can't recall which one at the moment. But Jesus asks, "Do you want to be healed?" And they thought that would be a good quote to be set to music. And they couldn't find anything. And when they were talking to me, I went, boy, I haven't heard of anything. And I kind of just let it go. But then my musical mind started to work. And I came up with a musical theme. And during my break, I completed it. I had to add to it, even though the text is very short. It is, "Do you want to be healed? Is this your innermost wish? Do you want to be healed?" And that's it. And so I set that to music. I'm going to include a little bit of it in this video. I made a little perusal copy that can be looked at from my music processing program. It is scored for SATB choir, soprano soloist, and organ accompaniment. I don't use the organ font on my music processing program because it doesn't allow you to use different registers. So you're going to hear a piano, but here's a little snippet of "Do You Want to Be Healed?" Of course, with all that is going on with church services not taking place in person, at the present time there is a ban on not only congregational singing, but live music with a choir in church. This piece will have to just sit and wait for the right opportunity. But as most musicians know, our minds tend to still create things, even though there may not be a need at the moment. We have to express ourselves in this manner. So I went ahead and completed this piece of music. As you know, I'm a renter, and renters in California are facing and have faced many, many challenges over the last, maybe 8 to 10 years. We have seen rents skyrocket beyond many people's means. And even for us, we're living in a much older building than we normally we would have chosen. And we're living in an area that is nice. I'm not saying it isn't nice, but it's still kind of far away from where we worked and where we lived before, mainly because we could no longer afford to live there. So one thing came to my mind. When you sign a lease to rent, it could either be a house, a condo, or an apartment, you are asked to pay a security deposit. And many times, people don't realize that that money is really yours. It's not the landlord's or the management company's. It is your money. However, it's sitting in a bank account somewhere, and you're not reaping the benefits. So I wrote my local assembly member about an idea I had to sign a law, have a law made that says that security deposits officially belong to the tenant. And while the tenant occupies a rental property for no matter how long they rent, they will accrue interest on that money that is actually theirs. So all of a sudden one day I got this in the mail, and as you can see, here, let me do it this way. It is called a legislation request form. And you get this little sheet. They expect you to fill it out with a number of questions. I guess they expect you to fill it out by hand. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So what I did is I took the actual questions and I typed the responses and made another document that I printed out and mailed it off to them. It's very interesting when you get these things. I don't know if you've ever gotten one of these in the mail, if you've ever suggested legislation. But they say, what's the problem? What is your proposed solution? They want background information. I was able to find some background information on this because there are cities that do give tenants interest, but they're paid yearly. And to me, that doesn't seem quite fair. What they should do is, if the money is in the bank account and they live in a property for 10 years, they should collect that over 10 years accrued. As the money gets higher from the interest they have collected, they should collect interest on that, not be given a break yearly on their rent or being sent a check for $20 or $30. So anyway, I filled that out, and they asked if I'd be willing to fly up to Sacramento to testify if it gets this far, and I said, of course. So anyway, I mailed this off last week to my assembly member, and I hope something in the future can be done to solve this problem. And mainly it's to just level out the playing field from landlords to tenants. So if anything good happens with this, I will certainly share it. I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to these things with our governments, as large as they are, but if by some miracle this gets some traction, I will certainly share it with you. And lastly, I've spent a lot of time looking at our current financial situation in this country. Like many of you, I've been watching our Congress struggle to try to set aside certain ideological differences, to come to some sort of agreement to help people that are truly struggling right now. And while I was thinking about this, a certain parable came to my mind. It's found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, right at the very beginning, verse 1 through 16. And it's the parable of the workers in the vineyard. Do you remember that parable? It's the one where workers come to a vineyard as day laborers in the morning. And the owner of the vineyard says, sure, you can work. I'll pay you 1 denarii, which is the going rate for the day. He's not trying to cheat them. He's giving them what the regular wage is for that type of work. And then around noontime, we're told that other workers come. The owner of the vineyard says, come on in, you can work. I'll pay you 1 denarii. And then lastly, around an hour before closing, another group shows up. He invites them to work, and they finish out the day. When the time comes for payment, everyone, no matter how many hours were put in, are paid the same amount. And of course, the people who started to work early grumble and are told that I am the owner and I will pay people as I please. You should be happy that you were given what was expected. And this parable by Jesus, by the way, has been interpreted in many different ways. If you look at the situation in life when Jesus was actually teaching the parable, I think he's really talking about fair wages. Honor and shame was a big deal then as it is now. And being honored with more money because you started earlier in the day. And the people starting earlier in the day grumbling at the people who started later in the day, thinking they should get more, really attacks that whole idea of honor and shame. I think Jesus is saying that everyone needs a living wage. That some people may deem their work more important than others, but all workers need to be paid something so that they may live and care for their home and their family. I don't think our Congress, both the Senate and the congressional branch, would feel comfortable hearing this parable because it exposes where personal differences, personal selfishness, and downright nastiness reigns over what is best for everyone. The one thing this pandemic has displayed and has exposed is our systematic failures. What we really need, including yourself, are people who see these systematic failures and do their best to solve them for the betterment of others. Let us pray on that, and let us put that prayer to work. Well, that's all I have for you right now. I'm sorry for that little sermon, but that parable has been on my mind ever since I heard the news of everyone bickering and trying to figure out what to do. Typically, I take the month of August off for this channel. I'm going to do that again. So you won't see an episode in August, but I'll be back with you again in September as we continue our journey together, as we present and you accept that Deacon on YouTube. Bye-bye. God bless. Be well. Be safe. And let the grace of God permeate your life.